Hello 580 class, we are going to take our 3.9 quiz on child development. We have about 20 questions and we're going to start over here, question number 1. So at 3.9, during which one of Erikson's stages of infants tasked to learn the world is safe and the world will take care of them? So this is an infant task. It says it right there in the sentence. So which one of these is the infant's decision to do? And the answer is trust versus mistrust. Autonomy versus shame and doubt is the next phase after that. Intimacy versus isolation, that's around the time that you are an adult and trying to figure out if you are going to, procreate, have a relationship with somebody else. And ego, integrity versus despair, that's later in life. It's a last stage. So we have the first stage and the last stage. Right. Next question. In Erikson's first stage of development, trust versus mistrust. Let's see, I'm reading it. Major emphasis is on a mother and primary caregiver's positive and loving care of the infant, which includes visual contact and touch. So in class, we talked a lot about the fact that you physically, not as well as emotionally thrive when you have that contact. So it's not just about the warmth of and the trust that the world is going to be safe and your diaper is going to be changed, but also visual contact counts as well too. So the answer to that is true. Erikson's stage of theory of social emotional development is identified solely by the age of the individual. Meaning, moving to the next stage is based upon reaching a certain age. The answer to this question is directly in the question. It says Erikson's stage theory. And in the stages of social emotional development, it is not about age. It is about the stage of development that you're in. And so with that being said, the answer is going to be false. People can get stuck in a stage, even though Erikson still has ages that are typical, that the development happens at, but just because it's typical doesn't mean a person succeeds. The whole point of Erikson's social emotional theory, it's a personality development, is that you have a conflict, trust versus mistrust. That is a conflict, and within that conflict, the child the human is to move past that conflict and learn to trust so they can move to the next one, so they can learn autonomy, so they can move to the next one. So question number 4, which one of the following is the strength of the autonomy versus shame and doubt psychosocial stage of development? So if you think about it, these are 2-year-olds. I mean, these are like infant, like toddlers. So you had trust versus mistrust is until 12 months old. After 12 months old, then we have all the way up until around 3 or so. So you're thinking, if you're thinking of that toddler, what do they want the most? They want independence the most. That is the answer. Think of that strong-willed toddler. Okay. Erikson's psychosocial theory. Infants' basic conflict is between trust and mistrust. That was in our first question, right? One important way to help infants positively resolve conflict is by allowing them to do simple tasks on their own, like eat and dress. Is that related to trust versus mistrust, or does that sound more like independence? That autonomy versus shame and doubt. To me, that's autonomy. Okay, giving them the freedom to explore safe environments. Is that about independence or trust in the caregiver? It's about independence, so that's not right. Responding to them quickly when they cry, especially for food. That is trusting that the world will take care of them, so that is the right answer. Then finally, encouraging them to develop relationships with other children their own age. That's is kind of in the school age section of when their development is. Question 6 says, Piaget, remember Piaget is a cognitive theorist that we talked about, theory of development, one activity specifically geared to tasks of infants 0 to 2 years of age is, so this is cognitive development. Is it sorting blocks geared to tasks of 0 to 2 age? So this is specifically geared to them, okay? Playing peekaboo or simple hide and seek objects, writing numbers and letters. That's definitely a 3 to 5 year old or a 2-year-old. They're going to write trying to write some letters, but not at this 0 to 2-year-old age. Creating stories with puppets. That's in that next phase of pre-operational. Sorting blocks and colors, that's really acting upon the world. And so with this, we're in a sensory motor phase of development, and it's going to be playing peekaboo or simple hide and seek games. Just concepts. That's that first stage of development, is about concepts. Okay. The scientist that created a theory of the cognitive stages of development, we just talked about it. Who is it? It is Piaget. Erikson is social emotional. Ainsworth is also, these two are attachment theorists. Ainsworth and Muller are both attachment theorists. 8. Oops, I didn't mark it, did I? Okay. Question 8. Piaget calls an infant's skill of taking in new information and processing it assimilation, where they're assimilating something else. Is that true or false? If they're taking new information, then they have to figure out what that is, and the answer is true. Attachment is a closeness and responsiveness to infants. Is it not important during the first year of life? That one's definitely not true. Is it an important two-way experience between an infant and an adult? And is it both a closeness and responsiveness to infants and a two-way experience? And that is absolutely the answer. Both. So remember when we talked about the fact that it was a really big deal that they figured out that infants actually want the attachment, and so that's part of this two-way experience, the closeness and responsiveness, that is that I feel attached to you, I feel close to you when we are doing that. Okay, 10, attachment style. So it says attachment styles are the same across all cultures. Is that true or false? There's not much that is the exact same across all cultures. The answer is false. The way we choose to attach, how long, think about like how long people breastfeed in certain countries versus other countries, how long you hold or carry a baby, whether you carry the baby in the front of the back or the back of the back. It's very different in different cultures. Okay. A developmental theory offers explanations about how we develop and change over time, and the kinds of influences that impact development. What is that true? I have to reread it because I wasn't looking. Developmental theory offers explanations on how we develop and change over time and the kinds of influences that impact. Yes, that is absolutely true. It's talking about our stages or how we change as we grow. So how many stages are there in Piaget's theory of cognitive development? Do we remember? We have sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and I forget the last one. Oh no, last one's pre-operational, operational, concrete operational. Anyway, there is 4 for sure. Sensory motor and pre-operational is your 2 that are kind of coming about the closest in this class. Okay. According to Mahler's separation individuation theory, again, so this is about attachment, blank, it is internal process of mental separation. Which one is the answer? Separation is. So individuation of avoidance, attachment, separation, all of those are components that are within that. And the answer is going to be, oh, how can I do this? Wait. Question 13. From the mother, while blank refers to a developing self-concept, and that is going to be individuation. Okay, so this one is going to be separation, and this one is going to be individuation. Okay. Separation you're thinking is a physical separation. Individuation is my own person developing my self-concept. Okay, we're going to be able to mark all that apply, and so nature versus nurture is going to apply to our physical appearance. The color of my hair, unless I dye it, is going to be not grown by the environment. It's grown by my genes. Our personality characteristics, it is grown by our genes. Our childhood experiences, that's solid nurture and our genes. Okay, so got those this way. Nurture refers to all the environmental variables that impact who we are, including how we are raised, our social relationships, and our surrounding culture. So yes, that is true, and I want to point out culture is something that does influence and is considered nurture, the environment that we grew up in, including culture. Which of the following characterize a sensory motor stage of development? Understanding the environment through inborn reflexes like sucking and looking. So yes, sensory motor. Who does sensory motor stage of development? Piaget. Exploring the environment through your senses and motors. Sensory motor. Yes, of course. Object permanence. It's the key concept of the stage. Remember peekaboo? Like I still exist when you can't see me. And thinking about the world and using symbols that represent things, that doesn't happen until you're 3 years old. So absolutely not going to be marked for this one. Question 17. Infants initially think objects exist only when they can actually see them, but eventually they come to realize that object exists even when they cannot see them. In fact, they will often actively look for the object. The name of this is called object permanence. We just talked about that. Okay. Match the illness with the treatment. Croup is a nasty cough that happens. And when you bundle that child up at night and then you go out into like kind of really chilly air, we don't want to sweat out the infant. We don't want them to get cold and catch a cold because so a warm blanket. But the point is, when they have really cold air in their lungs, it actually constricts their lungs, so they won't cough as much. So that's what you're trying to do, is to get the coughing to stop. An ear infection is going to be, we're going to kind of take that kid to the doctor to see some antibiotics. A stomach flu. Let's see what we put on there. Stomach flu. If a child is throwing up a lot with the stomach flu, we're going to make sure that we get them lots of drinks to hydrate, lots of water. And if they have a common cold with congestion, they're really stuffy, and when a child lays down, that's very complicated. Let's see, what are we going to do? We're not going to sweat. We're going to sleep them propped up, like in a car seat. When the child is propped up, what happens is that the snot doesn't run back down into their lungs. It can go back into their stomach. Makes it a lot easier for them to breathe, so you don't have to worry about them choking. Two more quickly. Piaget believes that children's intellectual ability, skills, change over time through maturation, and that is absolutely true. That's why we have these stages. So actually, Piaget is strictly about nature. Whatever age it is, instead of stages, whatever age it is, that's what it is for them. The correct order of the 4 stages, formal operational. That's the one I always forget. Sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. That is the right answer. There we go. So formal operational. Pre-operational, so 0 to 2. 2 to probably 5, 7. 5 to 7, 7 to, oh,